In this video I'm gonna take a look at Algoriddim DJ software for the Mac with a big focus on spinning with your CDJs and your DJM900 mixer. Does it give you the full-fledged experience? They say full performance, full control and 100% professionality. Why do you want to spin with Algoriddim DJ? Well, there is Spotify support in the software. Also, I'm gonna take a look at if external controllers are supported. Let's dive into it. My name is Dexter Clark and I do reviews, vlogs and tutorials about DJing and producing music. If you're new to the channel, please make sure that you are subscribed, then you get updates of my new videos. Algoriddim DJ is DJ software for Mac and Windows. It's an upgrade, so to say, from the mobile version to the desktop. With the desktop version you can spin with your CDJs and with Spotify. And that means that you can finally spin Spotify on your CDJs. So far I'm pretty happy with the software. When you start up the software you can immediately see that it isn't as cluttered as for example Rekordbox DJ. This is the screen. On top of the screen you'll see two players, one on the left and one on the right. Your first waveform of the first deck is over here, the waveform of the second deck is over here. Here are your playlists and here you can directly switch to iTunes, for example. You can directly switch to Spotify if you like to. I have to say there was a little bit of a problem with my Spotify. You have to connect it, you have to put in your password and your user credentials. In my case, my user credentials were false and it didn't give a message, so it seemed to do nothing. So I had to look up my password and it turns out I input the wrong password and then immediately it worked and it connected. And it's pretty speedy. I'm really happy with that connection. And what I can do, for example, in Spotify, I can drag over a song to my first player and it starts playing. I can do the same thing with second. And this is from Spotify, guys. And yes, indeed, what you can do is you can slow it down. So I'm gonna play it for you and you'll see that you can change the tempo of the track. And you can do that even in key. But what if you want to import your own songs that you bought or even produce yourself? Well, you can go over here, here's a playlist and I can make another playlist, my new playlist. And I can drag some files from my Finder over here. I can drag it in my first player and it starts playing. But you can also make folders of playlists and even nest those folders. I'll say add a playlist folder, my super folder, and I can say I want to add another nested folder, and I want to add another folder, another, and you can drag your playlist into this folder. Really useful. One thing I didn't like about Rekordbox DJ is that if you are on your super directory, then you don't see what is in that directory, what kind of songs that are in there. Of course, it gives a list of the playlists that are in a folder, but not what files that are in here. Serato DJ does that and I really like that about Serato. Now I can let you hear this because this is music from the YouTube library itself. And in key. If you're curious about the stuff you absolutely need to know when you start out DJing, then I suggest you download my free ebook. The link is in the description below. Algoriddim DJ works only in one screen. That's something I really like about the software. For example, here on top there are 3 icons. The first one, you can have some pads, so you can add some extra sound effects. For example, those sound effects are in the software. Finally, so you don't have to look for a good foghorn and kick hi-hat. Really good. You can add this to your layout. You can also remove it again by clicking on the icon again. There are some effects in the software, and there are over here are your cue points. Okay, let's say I want to set a cue point right over here. Then I'll position my cursor over here, and I'll press the plus icon, and it sets a cue point over here. Really intuitive. You don't need 2 separate screens, and when you are connecting your CDJs, for example, that still works. That doesn't work in Rekordbox DJ. So now let's connect your CDJs with it. How you do that? You can take a USB cable, a USB A/B cable. So the A version goes in your CDJ and the B version goes in your laptop. What they want you to do is they want to connect both players to the laptop, and then the laptop, the sound output of the laptop, they want to put into your mixer. That means that your mixer is out of the equation and you have to do everything in the software. And I hoped that if you connected the USB cable to your CDJs, that it still would output the signal to your mixer, so you can mix like you normally would do. But no, the software is the center, the hub of what you're doing with DJing. So the signal goes from your CDJs to your laptop, and your laptop back to your mixer again. If you connect a USB cable and the software is running, you see a message on the screen that says that the CDJ is connected. Now press the link button. The display says it has a connection with the PC. Then press the navigation button a couple of times and select the deck you want to represent in the software. In this case, I want this player to be deck 1. Now you see a list of songs that are selected in the software. This can be a playlist, iTunes or Spotify. It works, but it is not the way that you want it to work. The software can actually do something that is really cool. You can connect your mixer via a USB connection to your laptop. You don't need the separate USB connections from your CDJs to your laptop. That isn't necessary if the players are connected via the Pro DJ Link connection, so the UTP connection. Then you can assign a deck, and I'll show you here in the software preferences. Under devices, you can assign the CDJ, the DJM mixer, as an external device to output your sound in different channels. And when I want the first slider, channel 1 and 2, 1 and 2, so it's a stereo signal, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, apply. Now, when I take a song and I'll throw in on the first deck the first song, on the second deck the second song, they will load into the players. And as you can see with the first slider, and next to it the second slider, that means you can apply all your regular stuff to it, so effects, and if you're wondering if the cue function will work, so if you can hear it on your headphone, yes, this first channel you can hear on your headphone, but also the second channel. Okay, one of the problems that I ran into is that sometimes the software, this is exactly what I mean. Sometimes the audio is gone, put it down a little bit. Sometimes the audio is gone and sometimes it's there again. This was an MP3, but it happened to me also a couple of times on Spotify. And I also noticed some troubles connecting my first deck to the software. I don't know what the problem is, but I can't select it anymore. What I did is restarted the software, restarted the CDJ, and it works again. But now I have another problem on my second deck, and I will show you. So you can see when I turn the knob, it does something really weird with the display. Does it work the same way with Spotify as it does with MP3s? Yes, it does. It has a waveform on the display. You can have hot cues, no cue points, the software doesn't support that. You can use the jog wheel, you can use the tempo slider, you can use master tempo, cue, no problem at all. But is it even legal to spin with Spotify? That's a question I asked myself in another video, and I will link up the video in a card above, and I will also put it in the description below. Check it out if you like. Now let's see how we can use a Spotify song. When I click on Spotify in the software and I search for, well, I have a song here that I want to use, and let's go to search. Losing it, yes, I already selected it in the software. Then I'm pressing the button and it automatically loads. Regretfully, I can't let you hear it because of copyright issues. But what if I want a song that is in the Spotify library that's not in one of my lists? Well, I go over here, search Spotify. For example, I search for a Kashmir song. Well, let's take Power. I already selected it in the software. Now when I go to search, browse, search, then you'll see on the first line it says Power. When I go down with a cursor here, you'll see that the software reacts to that, and now I can enter Power and it will load up. If you think, well, I can maybe search on the CDJs, well, search, hold the button 2 seconds. Well, that doesn't work. You really have to search in the software itself. And as you can see in this list, it displays the artists. So I can go to an album. For example, there is an album called Carry Me Home, for example. And there's one song in that album. Show all songs. And you have all the songs of Kashmir. Ooh, I like this one. I thought, well, let's throw something at the software, and in this case, Camelot keys. I analyzed a couple of MP3s with mixed in key and then threw the songs into Algoriddim DJ. As you can see on the screen, it still recognizes the plain old keys, so not the Camelot keys. It does its own key recognition, so it doesn't take into account the Camelot keys. You may ask, what about the external controllers, the DJ controllers out there? Does it work too? Well, I have over here the Pioneer DJAY RB standing for Rekordbox, which means that it works with Rekordbox DJ, but it works also with DJ Pro. When you go into DJ Pro to preferences, you have to set the main output to the DJAY RB channel 1-2. The main output is the output that comes from the master output from the DJ controller, and the pre-queuing to channel 3 and 4, which is the headphone jack. When you look at the controller, pretty much everything works. When I drag in a song to deck 1, I can operate the fader, pause it, cue it. I can use the hot cues you have set. If you're pressing the hot cues for the first time, then they will be set. And now I go back. But out of the box, the pad effects work. It operates a slider, a knob on the screen. The slicer works. And also the sampler works. But of course, the second deck works also. Okay, if I drag a song to deck 2, sampler, You have other pads on that second deck. And of course EQing. Filter works. EQs. Mid EQ. High EQ. Everything works as expected, and indeed your queuing, your headphone works also. So that is a viable alternative for Rekordbox DJ. Okay, what's my final verdict about the software? Well, at first glance, I'm really happy with the software. The software does things that only the more expensive software packages do. So that's pretty good value for your money. When it comes to connectivity to your external DJ controllers or the CDJs, that's really well thought out. But there are definitely some issues that they have to work on. For example, the beat grid. If you grab the beat grid with your mouse and you try to put it to the left or the right, it bounces back in a weird way, or not really bounces back, and yeah, there's a bug there. Need to fix that. But also, they do a beat grid detection, but what if the beat grid is wrong? So far I haven't yet seen that it is wrong, but in the future with some more complicated music than EDM, there probably will be some issues there, and I'd like to change that, but the software doesn't really support that. Yeah, you can do some minor things, but the flexibility as, for example, Rekordbox DJ gives you, no. Same thing for the key detection. The software does an automatic key detection, which as far as I could see is pretty accurate. But what if it's not? I'd like to change that, and I couldn't find in the software where or how to change that. It also doesn't seem to operate with a key tag in MP3 files, which means that Camelot keys, for example, can't be written to that MP3 tag and the software uses it. What I like about the software is that they do key matching. So when you're playing a song in deck 1 and you want to match the key of deck 1 with the key of deck 2, then you can press a button and it automatically matches it and automatically pitches it up or down. Maybe they could add some cue points for more convenience. When it comes to the software itself, when you want to mix, you need an external sound card in order to have a possibility to hear with your headphones. There are mini sound cards out there. Okay, the software supports it, luckily. When it comes to EQ mixing in the software itself, I noticed that the knobs for the high, mid and the low frequencies are pretty tiny, so that is a little bit difficult to operate. But overall, there's a very good start. What I definitely don't like about the software, and they definitely need to fix, is the connectivity issues. Sometimes I can't select a deck, and there is something going on when the display is going berserk. That's definitely what they need to work on. If you like this kind of content, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and hit that bell button. I love to see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!